Okay, good morning, everyone. This is consider this a 3-minute warning. So we've got some people that we're watching as they're walking over from the parking lot. So we're going to let them arrive, and then we'll get started in about 3 minutes, and then allow me to test the clicker. It is in fact working. So we'll be back in about 3 minutes. Thanks. All right. Good morning. All right, I'm gonna be like every speaker that you get at early morning programs who does this. Good morning. All right, excellent. Welcome to the University of Illinois at Chicago, home of the USA Flames and Firestarter, what we hope is the beginning of your journey to join us here as a UIC Flame. My name is Oscar Rodriguez. I'm Associate Vice Provost of Academic and Enrollment Services, and we've got a pretty dynamic day filled for you. It's going to not be your typical admitted student type program today. We hope to highlight people, places, and things for you to do here on campus. And with that, you'll be hearing from people, you'll be participating with people, you'll be hearing about their spaces and the kinds of things that we hope that you'll take advantage of while you're here. Um, Before we get started with the program, I would in fact like to call your attention to two things. First of all, anyone who is wearing either a UIC Admission Corps t-shirt, that's one of our Admission Corps students, they're here to help. And any UIC staff member who's here today is wearing an Ask Me button or looks like an official in a suit. So any of those people here are here to answer questions, help move you around, and perhaps provide you more insight if you need that. Second of all, please note that we are in fact webcasting the event today. So please note that there are cameras in the event, and we are in fact live casting this on the web as we speak. So if you've got concerns, please try to sit toward the rear behind the cameras. So with that, we'd like to begin with a welcome from the campus from Dr. Susan Poser. Susan has been the Provost and Vice Chancellor of Academic Affairs at the University of Illinois at Chicago since 2016. Prior to arriving in 2016, where she was the Dean at the University of Nebraska College of Law. As Provost, Dr. Poser is responsible for the university academic enterprise, including the planning, implementation, and assessment of UIC's academic programs. She has initiated many programs for faculty and students, including increasing the opportunities for faculty research collaborations, professional development, and data-driven approaches to enhancing students' academic success in order to increase student retention and graduation. Dr. Poser holds a law degree and PhD from the University of California, Berkeley, and her scholarly work is primarily the area of legal ethics and tort law. I bring you Dr. Susan Poser. Thank you.
Thank you, Oscar. Good morning. And welcome to our newly admitted students, families, and friends. There are over 1,000 of you here today at UIC's Firestarter event, and more watching on the web. So we're very excited at the turnout. And I see that people are still coming in. There were some parking issues, so please come in, and there are, of course, always seats towards the front. So let me begin by congratulating our newest UIC students. You have earned a place not just at any college, but at Chicago's only public research university. And that's a big deal. I hope that you and your families have been savoring that and taking some time to pat yourselves on the back. There is much to be proud of in this fact alone, especially in a year when applications are up yet again by about 5%. So it is more competitive than ever to be admitted to UIC. I would venture to say that admission to UIC has opened the door for what will be one of the most thrilling times of your life, and which will set the stage for pretty much whatever you have the drive and ambition to do after you graduate. And speaking of drive and ambition, allow me to share just a few facts about all of you sitting here today, the beginning of UIC's incoming class of 2024. 43% of you will be the first in your immediate family to graduate from college. 58 of you earned perfect scores on the SAT and the ACT. 500 of you earned a perfect 4.0 GPA in high school. And 105 of you are set to be valedictorians or ranked first in your class in high school. So a hearty congratulations for all of that. And needless to say, you represent an outstanding group of students, and UIC will be proud to have you as part of our family. Now, as you heard, my title at UIC is Provost. The Provost is the person at the university who oversees academic affairs and is ultimately responsible for the academic quality of the university. So it's my job to help recruit and motivate outstanding faculty, and to constantly ensure that our students are receiving the best possible education. So I am keenly interested in all of you and your success, and I'm very happy that you are here this morning. So what does it mean to be admitted not just to college, but to this country's best public urban research university? It means that the highly skilled faculty who are dedicated to teaching you are bringing into the classroom more than just that day's lesson. You will be learning from amazing professors who, when they are not teaching you, are engaged in research that is creating new knowledge in everything from improving cancer treatments to writing novels, from marketing to neuroscience, and from the latest engineering technologies to criminal justice and urban planning. These same teachers who will be teaching you are also out in the field, applying that knowledge to help communities and change the world, near and far. Your lives will be transformed by your professors. In fact, your professors are the ones who write the books from which students around the nation learn. UIC faculty are changing our city and our world in ways that you may not be aware of. So let me just touch on a few examples, but really just the tip of the iceberg. This is some of what's going on when your soon-to-be professors are not in the classroom, laboratory, or studio teaching you. One example is the shingles vaccine. Shingrix, which is the best and most effective shingles vaccine on the market because it has a much lower risk of side effects, can be used in people who are immunocompromised and can be given to people at age 50, which is a full 10 years sooner than other shingles vaccine. And I can attest to all of this because I've done it myself. This vaccine was developed by a UIC faculty member in our College of Medicine. It is now being given around the world. The UIC researchers in engineering are doing amazing work with batteries, figuring out how they can be modified to become safer, stronger, longer lasting, and cheaper. Earlier this fall, our team at UIC became the very first to produce a fully rechargeable lithium carbon dioxide battery. And these are batteries that could eventually allow electric cars to drive 5 times faster on a single charge. That's all going on here at UIC in the College of Engineering. Our computer science faculty are studying artificial intelligence and figuring out how algorithms can be used to create robots to do many different things, including serve as companions to help the elderly at home. English professor Luis Uria, who is a member of the Latino Literature Hall of Fame and is a previous Pulitzer Prize finalist, received the prestigious Guggenheim Fellowship for this academic year. At UIC, you will find Dr. Uria teaching creative writing and poetry workshops for both undergraduate and graduate students. Using a $3.8 million 4-year grant from the U.S. Department of Education, UIC College of Education faculty member Kathy Main and College of Liberal Arts and Sciences faculty member Kate Zinzer are working to develop one of the only early childhood education residency programs in the country. This program will help address early childhood teacher shortages, which we are now experiencing in Chicago and all over Illinois, and it will also help with teacher retention. So these are just a few examples of the kinds of people that you will be learning from. This is all to say that your future teachers are also doers, and they are here to teach you how to be doers out in the world. But it's not just our professors. Our students are also encouraged to engage in research themselves at local, national, and international levels. And of course, research also goes on right here on campus, working in a laboratory, or archives, or art studios, and so forth. And you will have many tools at your disposal to get involved in research. For example, we have programs that match students with faculty who have the same research interests, as well as an initiative that provides scholarships to support undergraduate and faculty involved in research collaborations. So our faculty use our students to help them with their research. These have resulted in many undergraduate research projects, including by engineering students who are building prototypes for the cars of the future, and they enter them each year in the Chicago Auto Show. And students in our Engaged Humanities Initiative, who are researching how to preserve archaeological treasures around the world. These same faculty who do and guide students in this kind of work also care deeply about your growth and your success. They all do different kinds of research and teach different classes, but what they all have in common is their dedication to your success. This is the glue of UIC, and it is what makes us a unique opportunity for all of you. I have never seen a faculty so dedicated to students as UIC faculty are, particularly research faculty who often aren't as dedicated. Here they are, and they really care about the students. But of course, UIC professors are not the only ones who support our students. We have people in student affairs and in every college whose entire job is to promote student success and offer support to help you navigate your college career so that you, from the very beginning, are provided resources and advice to help you succeed. And in fall of 2020, when you would all be starting, you will also be able to take advantage of a brand new Center for Student Success. This will be a centralized hub of information and resources to help you thrive in your classes. Your admission to UIC means that you belong here, but we also want to make sure that you feel that way from the moment that you step on campus, which is really today. Now, UIC is big. It has over 21,000 undergraduate students. Yet it is easy to make UIC much smaller, more manageable, and familiar. One way to do this is by participating in extracurricular activities and finding groups of friends who share your interests. We have over 300 student organizations that represent just about every interest that you can imagine, from the Women's Leadership Resource Center to the Latino Culture Center, and from the Association of Pre-Med Students to student government. We have intramural sports, of course. We have a student a cappella group called the Downtown Voices, and a nationally ranked speech team for those debaters out there. And again, like the other things I spoke about, this is just the tip of the iceberg. And you can go away from campus to learn and grow through one of our study abroad programs that cover 6 continents, or by doing an internship in downtown Chicago. The possibilities are only limited by your imagination and your ambition. Now, we have one of the most diverse student bodies in the country, and we have no ethnic majority among our student body. And it is international as well. In fact, this group, all of you, of this early admitted students, alone represents 42 countries. At any given moment, you could conceivably hear over 70 languages on our campus. More than 40% of our students are the first in their families to attend college, and over 50% qualify for federal financial aid. Our diversity across so many different measures means that you are going to have a chance to get to work with and know people who are very different than you are, who have different backgrounds, different ideas, different perspectives. You will meet people from around the country and from around the world. And this will enrich your personal experience in many ways that you may not imagine. One of the defining elements of a UIC education is the cultural experience that you receive simply by being on our campus. It's really unique. And in this day and age, this is a critical education in and of itself, and will prepare you for our ever increasingly diverse workforce. We also understand that a college education must have as one of its goals a pathway to success in the workplace, whether that means a job after college or further study in graduate school or professional school. With that in mind, I looked at recently released Social Mobility Index that uses student data before college and after to determine the value of the higher education in raising students' standard of living and families' standard of living. Out of 1,458 universities, UIC was number 58 on the Social Mobility Index. In other words, UIC is one of the best universities in the country for raising the standard of living of its students and their families. And this social mobility after graduation reverberates back in the communities from which our students come in many, many different ways. We are also a university with great momentum. Just in the past 6 months, we have opened a new 58,000 square foot engineering innovation building, a state-of-the-art residence and classroom building on Harrison, known as the ARC, and we have acquired a new college. The UIC John Marshall Law School is our 16th college, and we acquired it in August of 2019. It allows us to build pipelines for undergraduates like you to go to law school and offer legal studies courses to our undergraduates, and in some cases even taught by a law professor. Helping our students enter the workforce is a priority, and we do it in many different ways. For example, UIC's College of Engineering promises every incoming student a paid internship after freshman year. Many colleges, like the College of Business Administration, host their own career fairs, and the Office of Career Services, which is in student affairs and open to anybody, offers career fair workshops, career advising, and a bountiful amount of information and tips online. So I will close my remarks by simply saying that here at UIC, we value the potential in every single student. Our commitment is to ensure that you receive what you need to meet your goals and make your dreams come true. And I encourage you today, all of our admitted students and families, parents, guardians, siblings, friends, whoever's here with you, to ask a lot of questions and make sure that they get answered. We don't expect you to know everything about UIC today, and this is a great opportunity for you to learn. So again, congratulations on being admitted to UIC. I am looking forward to seeing all of you in the fall as the class of 2024. Thank you, and have a wonderful day.
Thank you, Provost Poser. I do have to share this. We don't share remarks before they're made. In other words, the Provost didn't actually share her remarks with us today. We like for those that are presenting to you to share what it is that they're feeling and thinking with the audience once we give them an idea of who it is that they're going to be speaking to today. So, but I do have to say, as we're going to move through the day, a lot of what Susan shared, you're going to find it echoed throughout. These are constant messages that you're going to keep hearing from us because they're things that are important to us. And it's not just people who we have on campus, a unit head or a dean, who will share these sorts of messages about what kinds of things you need to be considering and what things are important, or perhaps how to realign how it is that you're thinking about this process as you are making decisions over the next 5 and 6 months about where it is that you're going to choose to spend 4 more years of your life. And we hope it's going to be here with UIC. We thought it's important for you to hear from an outside speaker, from someone who's thinking about transition always, who's presenting around the country. And who we brought is Harlan Cohen. Harlan Cohen is a New York Times best-selling author. He's a national syndicated advice columnist. He's a speaker who has visited over 400 college campuses. He's an author of 6 books, including The Naked Roommate and 107 other issues you might run into in college, and The Naked Roommate for Parents Only. Harlan is a frequent guest on television and radio programs and is a leading expert on college transition and success. He's here from Chicago. Please welcome Harlan Cohen.
Thank you. I am here. Thank you so much. It's wonderful to be here. I am so grateful to have the opportunity to be here with you. This is such a beautiful day. I've done this for several years, and I really look forward to it. And I try to just take in the energy, just to kind of breathe in what's happening here. And I always feel this sense of excitement, but I get overwhelmed. I don't know if you're feeling that too, because you're here, you've got students who are here, you've got your families that are here, parents, grandparents, siblings, guardians, and you're here. Like, this is what so many of you have been working so hard towards, right? And is it a little weird to be here? I don't know, I can kind of look. I find it to be so exciting and so incredible. And I only want to help you to live whatever experience you want. I am so happy to be in your corner, and I'm so happy to support you and help you along the way. And to be here at UIC, I've been coming here for years, not only speaking and welcoming families and students, but I also am a Chicagoan. And whenever I keep coming back here, it's crazy. Like, not only is the campus, like, there's so many cool things happening with the campus, but, like the city. Driving in today, anybody, by show of hands, driving, going from the north, coming south? Yeah. Did anybody see the sun and like kind of cut through the clouds, and it was almost like it should have been like, oh, it was this it was chilling. I took a picture while I was driving, and I shouldn't have. I was very careful because I tried to take in the moment, and then I got here, and it was cloudy, and it wasn't as sunny, and I just love being here, and I'm so happy to be here. So here's the deal. This isn't hello and goodbye. This is hello. It's wonderful to meet you. It's great to be here, and I want to continue to be in your corner throughout this entire experience. I want to be there for you to help you. I want to be one of those people. Today, what you can do is not only talk to me, I'll be hanging out and I want to visit with you. You can text me your questions. You can text me your questions and I will get them right here on my phone. And I will answer those questions. I'm going to save time at the end of the program here to answer your questions. And the questions I don't get to, I'll send you a personal response because I really want to be in your corner. I want to help you and I want to know what's on your mind. So today is a very exciting day and you're here and I want to get to know you. I want to understand what's important to you and I want to help you to look at this experience and make it all about you because this is all about you. So all of this starts with a dream, and there are a lot of you who have your parents, family members with you today, and I need to make sure when you do the drop-off, okay, for those of you who are dropping off, and even if you're commuting, get a lot of students who are commuting, it's really important when you say goodbye to not like need to be hospitalized because you're so sad. Because what happens is it makes you the center of attention and it takes away. The opposite is to show no emotion and then you look too happy for your kid to go, and that doesn't work either. So there's like a middle ground where you can be a little sad but not too sad. You're going to figure this out, and I'm going to help you to figure this out so that you can find the happy medium. Now, all of this starts with a dream. Everybody here wants something. I imagine there's something you want. And I really want to get a sense of you, of what do you want? Why are you here? What is your goal? Even what do you want today? What do you want in a year? What do you want in 4 years? What do you want in 8 years? But let's just start off with today, just with today. So one of the things I'd like to do is to get to know some of you. And the thing is, you don't have to talk to me if you don't want to talk to me. One of my gifts is I am great at rejection, okay? I've been rejected my whole life, especially from women. That is one of my strong suits, and I'm really great at talking to people who want to talk to me. If you don't want to, that's cool. But I'm really curious to know, like, why are you here? What is your goal? You don't want to talk to me. I could tell. I look at you and I see someone who doesn't want anything to do with me. And you know what? I will not talk. Was I right? Oh, you do want to talk. You do want to talk to me? No, I feel like you're being pressured. Like I don't feel like I don't want to because do you want to? Do you feel rejected now that I'm not talking to you? Like, because I get the sense if you do, I think you seem like. Do you want to talk? Let's see. I can tell you do. You seem like a friendly person. You're not. This man is not. Can I talk to you? No. Okay. Can I talk to you? Okay. Here, will you stand? This is great. I'll give you a book if you didn't already get a book. All right. So come here and just stand over here. This is awful. I know. Okay. You're in front of people. What's your name?
Magdalene Diaz.
And can I see your name tag so I can? Oh, so it's Magdelius.
Yeah.
I try so hard. I shouldn't have even tried. That's gonna happen, like I get people's names wrong and I'll try. Just tell me one more time.
Magdalene Diaz.
Oh, it's beautiful how you say it. I'm gonna let you be the one, because you say it so beautifully. And where are you from?
From Illinois.
Yeah, what high school?
I go to McHenry High School.
Henry High School. And have you been on campus before?
No, this is my first time.
Oh, this is your first time. This is exciting. So, what is one thing that you are most excited about when it comes to UIC?
Just being here and meeting new people.
Yeah? So you want to meet new people. That's exciting. And do you have a plan on how you're going to make friends?
Well, hopefully I'll just talk to them and we'll be friends.
Right. So this is good. So have you started that?
Not yet.
talked to no one.
No.
So you're off to a slow start.
Yeah.
I'm just curious, by a show of hands, how many of you are open to making friends today and this next year? So if your hands are not up, you don't want to make friends. So stay away from these people, right? They're not going to give you what you want. But look, so you've got a chance to make friends. So it's nice that you're so friendly, right?
Yeah.
Do you have friends now in high school?
Yeah.
That's great, okay? And your two closest friends, or your let's say your closest friend, how did you meet what's your closest friend's name?
Her name's Jennifer.
Jennifer. Okay, and how did you meet Jennifer?
Well, we've been friends since like elementary school, so I think we just played on the playground and we're just friends.
Yeah, so you played on the playground, and then who made the first move for the friendship?
Probably her.
It was her, and you've been friends for years, so it was like poof, magic. And do you do any sports?
Yeah.
What sport?
Tennis and badminton.
Ooh, okay, so you like rackets. Yeah. Do you have a racket in the car?
No.
Okay, some people just carry their rackets all around because you never know. So, do you have any tennis friends?
Yeah.
You do. And badminton friends?
Yeah.
Yeah. And are you planning on playing tennis at UIC?
No.
No. No. And how many years have you been playing tennis?
4 years.
4. And you like it?
Yeah.
Do you love it?
Yeah.
But you're not going to play it?
No.
Okay, what a great plan. Okay. So, what about, like, would you consider going to the rec center and playing tennis? Like, would you consider doing like a intramural or club sport, or just like playing games?
Yeah, I would do that.
Yeah, you do that. Are there any students, admitted students, that play tennis by a show of hands, that need a tennis partner? You play tennis? Yeah. What's your name? Ravi. And Ravi, tell me your name again.
McDiellies.
Magdiles. Oh, I want to. And Ravi. Okay, this is great. You two can exchange information, and then you can play tennis, right? Would you be up for that? Are you pretty good? He's very good. He's talking smack.
All right.
No, it's not mixed. Not mixed doubles. What's that? She's captain. We've gotten breaking news. Okay. From someone who I think, what is your relationship?
I'm a mom to Maggie.
You're Maggie's mom. Do you call her Maggie?
I call her Maggie.
You could thank you.
I was going to say that.
No, you just let me struggle, right? You just let me. So Maggie, oh, this is good. Okay, and you're Maggie's mom. And what's your relationship?
Dad.
Your dad. Okay, great. So they're all here. And you're the tennis of the captain team, or the captain. No, you're the. I'm so excited. You are the captain of the tennis team, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I have a suggestion. Are you open to suggestions, or do you just want to not get any?
Suggestions, yeah.
Okay, good. I have a 13-year-old daughter, so I always ask this question, and because I could tell, like, she doesn't want to hear from me. And this is a good suggestion for the two of you in the future, especially when it comes to new students. Don't go anywhere. It's that a lot of students will just vent, and one of the most important questions is, are you venting, or do you want advice, right? Because a lot of times you don't want advice, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then it's annoying when people offer you advice.
Well, sometimes.
Yeah, I'm used to being annoying. So here's the thing. You should think of tennis as being one of your places, right? Of being one of your places. Here, you can grab a seat, okay? Thank you. A round of applause. You're so great. For my UIC people, I've got a couple people here, a couple friends that I know. Lake, are you familiar? Is there a place to play tennis here?
Yes, in the rec.
Here, will you stand, please? So this is Lake. What's your whole name?
My name is Lake Crowell,
Yeah, and Lake is what year are you?
sophomore.
Sophomore. And Lake is an RA, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah. So what happens is when somebody has an interest and wants to make friends, if they're living on campus, they'll talk to their RA. And Maggie, let's say Maggie's on your floor, and Maggie wants to make friends, and she plays tennis, and she says, "Hey, Lake, can I ask you a question?" What are you going to say?
Yes, Maggie, what's your question?
Oh, this is great. Thanks, Lake. You're so kind. I really love tennis, and I'd like to make some friends playing tennis. How can I play tennis at UIC?
So at the rec, they have like a large amount of intramural sports. So I'm pretty sure there's a tennis. It starts probably in the very fall. You can just go in and ask anyone at the desk what the tennis dates look like, the times for that, and if you could even start your own intramural team if you're interested in doing that as well.
What if I don't know anyone?
I can go ask for you.
You will do that?
Of course.
Will you walk there with me?
Yes.
You hesitated. You don't want to walk? You want to run?
We can run. We can jump over there.
Right, but you'll help me. That's terrific. Thanks, Lake. I really appreciate that. Yeah, a round of applause as well. So here's the thing. You're going to make friends, right? But make this easy for you, Maggie. Really think of where are the places that I've done things that I love that give me joy. And when it comes to your college decision, it's really important for you to be thinking people, places, and patience. People, places, and patience. Now, I know the message up to now has been mostly, how can I be the best so that people will want me, okay? This is the big switch. It's no longer about being wanted. You're wanted, right? Like the rejection is over, okay? You've been admitted. Congratulations. Now is when it gets exciting, right? Ravi, is that Ravi? Is that? Yeah, it's what do you want, man? Like, what do you want? Is there something you want? Shout it out to me. What, something? That's great. You have so many options. A lot of you don't know. Sometimes we're afraid to share what we want because if we don't get it, we're going to get embarrassed. We're afraid we're going to get hurt. We tend to keep secrets. The more emotional the want, the harder it is for us to share what it is we want. And a lot of you don't have a ton of practice answering the question, what do I want? So today and in the future, I really want you to keep asking this question, what do you want? Because whatever you want, you can align with people and places to get what it is you want. And if you don't know what you want, Ravi, think about what do you want today? Like, what do you want to eat for dinner, okay? What do you want to do this weekend? What type of activities do you want to participate in? What type of major seems interesting to you? What type of career path seems interesting to you? And here's the deal. You could change your mind tomorrow. You could change your mind next week. You can change your major, and you will have done it right. Because a lot of us are so afraid to want because if we don't know what we want, we feel like we're not doing it right. But the only way to do it wrong is to not want. And if you feel it and it doesn't feel right, then want something else. That's what this experience is about. That's the beauty of a campus like UIC. You can change your mind and you can find amazing people in amazing places doing so many different things. All you have to do is want. So I want to help you to want. I visit lots of campuses. I travel all over the country. And when I visit these campuses, I'm able to talk to students and really learn, like, how did they create their experience? On one of the slides here, there's this guy with a lot of hair, like sticking out, okay? This guy needed to help pay for college, so he sells advertising space on his head. He goes to parties and he will advertise on his head, and he makes money doing it. It's wild. There's students who are part of Greek Life. There are UIC students there as well, the UIC Corps. There's students and people all over who want to meet you and want to be in your corner. So, who am I? I'm going to spend so little time because I don't really care a lot about me. I care about you. I've been writing for years. I wrote the book, The Naked Roommate, and 107 other issues you might run into in college. I wrote the book because I had a miserable first year in college. No one told me college could be so difficult. I'm going to share a little bit of that story with you in a moment. I wanted to make sure that all of you know what is coming and how to work through it. So I wrote this book. It's a New York Times best-selling book. We almost have 1 million copies in print. I never felt smart. I've always struggled in the classroom. I'm a really intelligent guy, but I'm a mess, okay? I heard about all of the students who have been admitted who got like perfect scores. You know, like, I don't know what that's like. I'm like, there's too many perfect people here. No, too many. I took freshman algebra twice. I failed accounting in college. I did horrible on my SAT. Thank God there was an ACT. I never felt smart. And the thing is, what I learned is I'm a messy smart. It takes me 2 or 3 times to get it right, and once I get it right, I'm brilliant. The problem is school doesn't reward people like that. Academics don't reflect my intellect. And for those of you who have certain ways of learning, it's really important to give yourself permission to be uncomfortable. Give yourself permission to be you, because if you continue to work towards this, you'll get something great. I'm also a father. I've got 3 children. My oldest is now 13. This is the day before we moved from the city to the suburbs. Lived in Chicago for over 20 years. Eva's 13, and we just finished our second round of college tours. We're super excited about that. Just kidding. Haven't started yet. And then I've got Harrison. Harrison likes to play games. He's excited about the Fortnite Cup. $3 million for the first place winner, which is insane. And then I've got Asher. He's 6 now, and he's a real star. He was first in his class. He took a PPSAT training class when he was 2 and has scholarship money socked away. He's first one out of diapers. We're psyched. Being a dad has been an amazing experience. It's constant change. Moving was constant change. How many of you, with a show of hands, when you come to UIC, you're planning on living on campus? How many of you would like to live on campus, want to live on campus? A lot of you. Living on campus is wonderful. If you don't live on campus, that's wonderful too. But here's the thing. When you make this change, it's going to be challenging. Maggie, you made your friends on the playground, right? So your way of making friends is to go on the playground. So at UIC, you're going to have to find a playground, okay? And you're going to have to play with people and make friends. But that's really how we learn how to make friends. It's how we learn how to deal with change. Very few people are great at change. Very few people know how to navigate change. The problem with high school is it doesn't equip you for all of the really most important issues that you need to understand. It's really hard to navigate all these changes. College is a huge transition. This phase in your life is a big transition. You're dealing with new responsibilities. You're no longer accountable. Those of you who are going to be living on campus, your parents and family members, you have no idea what you're doing, who you're doing it with. Maggie, you think you'll live on campus? So I'm talking about you. They're going to have no idea what you're doing, right? You have total freedom, Maggie, right? And the thing is, you are all going to have to navigate transition. We focus too much of our energy on search and selection. The past 15 years, 10 years, however many years you've been thinking about college, search and selection, search and selection. But let me tell you, the most important part of this is what happens once you're here, when you're walking around, when you're experiencing what it's like to actually be here. Most people don't know this is really hard. What do you want to happen in college? What do you want? Not only what do you want as a student, but as parents and guardians and friends and family. What is it that you want? What's important to you? I'm curious. I like parents. I think you're amazing. I'm a parent. I get it. Some of you are super excited about this. Some of you are worried. By a show of hands, how many parents, guardians, how many of you are a little worried or concerned? And just please be honest, okay? Worried or concerned. This is wonderful, a lot of you. How many of you are not worried and no concern in the world? You need to do a workshop, sir. This person is so chill. I'm so curious. You are so relaxed. May I ask you why you're so relaxed? Would you mind standing for a sec? Oh, this person, you're embarrassed. Are you related to this person? That's your dad. And are you okay with me talking to your dad? Because I don't want to. Okay, great. I've got permission. So tell me, why are you so comfortable with this?
She's more an adult than I am. Yeah, very mature.
Yeah, and has it always been? Have you ever worried about her? Was there a time where you were concerned and she showed you, you know what, Dad, I got it covered?
About 8.
About 8?
Yeah.
Is there a particular event that you can share? I would love to know a specific where you're like, she's got it together.
Yeah, so Mom was gone, and Sarah was there, and we had to make dinner, and she had it all under control, knew where everything was, got everything prepared. From that moment on, I knew.
And she's been making dinner?
No, not every day, but
No.
yeah, but you know,
But
Mom's gone.
But as an 8-year-old, as she was 8,
8.
she stepped up, and then when it comes to her dealing with uncomfortable situations, how do you feel? Like, this is why I asked permission, because like this is how, when she's like in a crisis mode, when she's upset, and I see you're like riding this out, right? You're gonna need, so you're cool, but you're not.
No.
And do you feel like he's too relaxed?
No.
Got a good balance.
Fine, yeah.
Right. And do you feel like she's too concerned?
Yes.
All right. And that helps though.
Yes.
Right. And is this your first who's going to be going to college?
Yes.
Yeah. So you haven't done this before?
No.
No. And is there anybody here who's had a child who's gone to college and done this already? Done this? Yeah. And did it work out okay? Oh, she's here. Oh wow. And it's been good. Yes, this gentleman here, he's a pro. Okay, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Yeah, that's so cool. So you have one. You're kind of a pro. And how old is your child? What year in school? You go here, or is there some sophomore at UIC? She's at the dorm next door. Oh, that's wonderful. And have you been happy with? She's been happy here. Yes, but. You're all alum. It's a whole family. I'm done. Okay. Oh, you're not part of this? Not yet, but you will be. All right, I'm going to leave you alone, okay? But it's wonderful to see, and that's great because you have a sibling who's here. You've got family members who are here. You've got generations of families who are coming here. It's a little bit different now, right? This place is unrecognizable. It's incredible. So what do you want? And for parents, it's really important, family members. A lot of you are used to being really in control. A lot of you are used to being worried and having the reins. Helicopter parents, lawnmower parents, snowplow parents. You know who you are. And there's nothing wrong with being involved. It's actually a really positive thing. It's a matter of how you're involved. And the fact that you're here is so meaningful. And I won't call you names. I call you the most loving, caring, amazing, supportive parents and family members. You're here, and that's really important. But for you, it's equally as important to get comfortable with the uncomfortable. It's equally important for you to have a sense of what's happening and how you can be a calming force and how you can be someone who isn't going to intervene in a sense of taking away the experiences of your child, but how can you be equipped to guide your student when they deal with discomfort in a healthy way so they can find their people, find their places, and be able to get where they want to go. After this, there's going to be a lot of opportunities to meet people. In this piece of literature that you got, this People, Places, Patience piece, I love this piece because what you see inside, you've got photos, you've got titles, you've got the actual people who are going to be in your student's corner and in your corner if you're a student. So when you are walking around, when you see these people standing in the back near their banners, talk to them, ask them questions, because these are the people who are going to be there when your child struggles, when they need help. You're going to be the one to go, oh yeah, I remember Jerry Smith, the College of Engineering. I like Jerry. He's great. He makes me smile. I've met him, and he's from the engineering school. And I was talking about how the engineers here really are like, they talk and they're friendly and they communicate like amazing. And I know it's like a stereotype, but they're great. Anyway, you can talk to people and use this. And these people, they want to connect with you. They want to be there for you. So I got a few rules. I got to go fast through these rules. Wow, I really got to go fast through these rules. I've had the best time talking to you, and I've got to save time for some questions. Okay, rule number 1 is get comfortable with the uncomfortable. There are many things that you are going to encounter, and it's so important that you acknowledge those things that make you uncomfortable. Instead of keeping them a secret, tell the people here what you need. Ask them for help. I didn't know to do this. When I went to college, it was incredibly uncomfortable. I started at the University of Wisconsin in Madison, a beautiful campus. I had a roommate. This isn't my real roommate. This is just a stock photo of a hairless man resembling a roommate, okay? I wanted my roommate to be my friend. He wasn't my friend. He liked smoking pot more than he liked hanging out with me. That was really upsetting. He moved out. I was -1 friend. I didn't have a plan to make friends. I was just going to hang out and make friends like you, Maggie. That's what I was going to do. I tried to get into a fraternity. But the thing about me is it takes me a good 3 to 6 months to get to know people. I'm not like an alpha male, sweated out kind of guy. I take time. I need 3 to 6 months of runway to get to meet people. I didn't know how to rush a fraternity. All the fraternities I rushed rejected me. Nobody wanted me. The only thing I had going for me was my girlfriend, my high school girlfriend. She was a senior in high school and I was a freshman in college. I loved her. She loved me. I thought this was going to last forever. I struggled. She was having the best year of her life. Her father compared our relationship to a dying puppy, urging Alexis to shoot the puppy. So Alexis called me in the fall of my freshman year, and she shot the puppy. And I was devastated because nobody told me that college could be uncomfortable. And I'm so grateful to be at USC. Like, I love this really. I really, like, you're also, I'm pointing to the admissions people who help me. Like, I really genuinely, like, I really treasure our relationship because you let me tell people the truth that, listen, UIC, if you come to UIC, you're going to be uncomfortable at times, right? And that's okay. You're going to be uncomfortable anywhere. And if you know what it is that's coming your way, and you think people, places, patience, and you actually are honest with yourself, then you're going to create the dynamics to thrive and get where you want to go. Problem is most people fight uncomfortable. I did. I got uncomfortable. You know what I did? I transferred. This is what campus looked like most mornings, right? Let me go back to that picture. This is what they sold me. This was the walk to campus, right? It was crazy cold and difficult. Nobody ever told me this. Now, you can expect all these beautiful scenes, but it's going to snow and it will be uncomfortable. And you need to plan. You need to think, how are you going to find your places? How are you going to find your people? And how can you be patient while going from one place to another? I transferred. I found my way. You got 5 transitions that you're going to be dealing with. 5 things that you need to be thinking about. The social transition. How are you going to find friends? How are you going to find connection? What are you going to do the other hours when you're outside of class? Social. The emotional transition. How are you going to connect emotionally? If you're dealing with stress and anxiety, some of you might be a little shy and uncomfortable. Think, where are the places that I can connect and find support? Whether it's through counseling services, whether it's through an activity or organization that you were part of in high school. Spiritual groups are great because they don't reject you. There's free food and nice people, even if you're not into God, right? Like, eat the food. Emotional transition. Then you've got the physical transition, being in a new place, in a new environment, taking care of your health and well-being. The financial transition. A lot of you are concerned about the financial transition. A lot of you are concerned. But here's the deal. Find the students who found the money. Find the people who found the scholarships. Don't focus on the people who don't have money. They're not going to help you, right? Find the students who found the money. The financial transition. And then you've got one more, which is the last. Oh, yeah, the academic transition, right? Isn't that crazy? We spend 90% of our time on these transitions, but yet the first 4, social, emotional, physical, and financial, those are the ones that weigh the heaviest on us. SEPFA. I'll say it again. SEPFA. SEPFA is the worst acronym in the world, but it's your transition. And as you walk around this campus and as you connect with people, think, what's most important to me? What am I uncomfortable about? What am I worried about? Give yourself permission to embrace the 10%. If you fight the uncomfortable, it will take up 100% of your time. Let me tell you, I've been doing this for a while. I've met tons of students, let me see, my slides are delaying a little bit. I'm trying to talk about getting comfortable with the uncomfortable. I'm trying to be so cool with my slides, and sometimes they get a little lag time, so that's just how it is. The universal rejection truth of being a presenter, the universal rejection truth of life, the universal rejection truth of being a parent, the universal rejection truth of roommates. The universal rejection truth is the most powerful truth of the universe. There's the law of gravity. We know the law of gravity keeps us on the ground. Then we've got nature, weather, right? You can't fight the winter. You can't fight the universal rejection truth. The truth is, no matter what, not everyone and everything's going to respond to you the way you want, right? As amazing as you are, even those of you who got a perfect score in your SAT or ACT, those of you who are valedictorians, you're not always going to get what you want. And when you embrace this truth, the world opens up. Because instead of being so worried about, oh, does this person like me? Does that person like me? Maggie, when you meet people, some of them are going to like you and some aren't. And if you just smile, and the people who don't want to be your friend and don't like you, feel bad for them and trust that they're going to come around one day. Because you're amazing, you're interesting, you're dynamic, you're charismatic, you're intelligent. You are someone anyone would be lucky to have in their life. But not everyone and everything's going to always respond to you. The goal is to put yourself in places where you're around people where you can grow and learn. If you don't know that uncomfortable is part of this experience, I'm telling you, you will struggle. You will think that you're the problem. This statistic really exemplifies what we're talking about. According to the American College Health Association, the 2019 data, students reported experiencing the following within the last 12 months. 55.9% of all college students admitted feeling hopeless over the past 12 months. That number in 2011 was 45.2%. We're talking a 10.7% increase in 8 years. You're the most hopeless generation of students. Congratulations, right? There you go. But here's the thing. You could see the overwhelmed, the students who are uncomfortable. If you're having a hard time seeing, 87.4% of students were overwhelmed. 65% were lonely. Here's the thing. If you know these are issues, if you've dealt with this in the past, if you're worried about it, great. Because if you give yourself permission to feel it, you're going to be able to plan for it, and you're going to be able to get through it. When you fight the uncomfortable, you always hate, hide, and attack. But when you face the uncomfortable, that's when you're able to work through discomfort. How do you do this? How do you do this? You practice uncomfortable. Practice uncomfortable. I practice it every single day. And you understand it's going to be okay. We've got that family back there where you've got your son here, you've got another child here, your 2 generations here. It's going to be okay, right? It's okay. It works out. Stuff happens, but it's going to be okay. Rule number 2 is don't panic. Think people, places, and patience. So what I mean by people, places, and patience is when you are thinking of your college experience, really think of it in terms of who are the 5 people who are going to be in your corner. When you're walking around and you see students, when you're in those breakout sessions, those students aren't just presenting to you. Those students are there to support you beyond today. Where are the places you're going to sweat, play, pray, live, learn, lead, love, and work? Where are the places at UIC you're going to build meaningful relationships? Where are the places you're going to do the things you love? And let the things you love drive your decision making. Walk to the rec center. Check out and ask them, hey, I like to play tennis. How would I do that? Right? Talk to the people who are wearing their badges and their shirts. And you got to be patient. Patience is key. So find your places. Think, sweat, play, pray, live, learn, lead, love, and work. Really be intentional about your places. Why 3 places? Because you always have somewhere to go. You always have something to do. And you are never alone. At least 3. And then what you need to do is think people. Find those people. People who volunteer. People who are paid. People who want to help you. You are surrounded by so many amazing people here who want to help you, who are in your corner. You just have to say something to them and connect with them. I introduced you to Lake. I happen to have a lot more information about Lake. What a coincidence. Wow, how fortunate. But Lake is from East St. Louis. and she's an industrial engineering major. Her places: campus outreach, Bible study, National Society of Black Engineers, UIC classroom. She's also an RA, which I learned. And Grace's people, she's got leader of campus outreach, director of minority affairs, and another leader of campus outreach. And she's here, and she'll talk to you. She even gave me her Instagram at im.lakey, Lockheed, at Lake E, right? Is that it? You had an extra E just for fun. Right. And that's the thing. And if you have a question, be like, hey, that Harlan said I could ask you a question. Are you going to answer it? Of course. Like, you've got people who want to help you. And if Lake doesn't work for you, we got another option. Zuriel is here as well, right? Can you stand up and wave? This guy, if I had time, you're amazing. You're incredible. You're a commuter student from Pilsen. You went to Walter Payton High School. You are so involved. Your Alpha Group, the Association of Latino Professionals for America, he was telling me, like, he did this in high school. Then we went to a conference over the summer, and he met someone from Boeing, and he is now doing an internship next summer in Seattle at Boeing. And it started with these places that were extensions of high school. So using what you did in high school to guide yourself, you can see more of his experiences. And here at Twitter, you can reach out to him. Reach out to Zuriel. Right? Reach out, like, you'll answer, right? And talk to him. He's so nice, too. I mean, like, and these are just two. And then I was talking to some people who are part of the UIC Core. Like, these students, they want to help you. It's remarkable how many people you have who are in your corner. Anything that makes you uncomfortable, reach out to them. Patience is just the ability to tolerate discomfort while finding your way. Make sure that you are supported. And when you make your college decision, tell your story. Tell the story of what you want. Tell it as if it's already happened. It's May of 2021. It's the end of your first year in college. Where did you make 3 friends? What's your major? What experiences are you having? Give yourself permission to want and think people, places, and patience. It's so powerful. Leapfrog the fear and anxiety. And know that this place is a place where you are supported. This is a place where you can find resources. This is a place where you can explore what you want. But what you must do is give yourself permission to want. You must give yourself permission to want. I want to answer 2 questions. I've got just about 3 or 4 minutes here, and I want to answer a couple of your questions. I also want you to know I'm going to hang out. Come up to me, talk to me. I'd love to visit with you. And any of these questions, if I'm not available, you've got your support staff here, and they're incredible. Hi, my daughter got the admission into college computer science program for fall. I'm a bit concerned about safety due to the recent incident in the campus parking garage. Are there additional safety measures in place for students' safety? Are there suggestions to students what to do? Your help's appreciated addressing this concern. I understand your concern, and I also understand that UIC is a place that's always concerned with the safety, health, and well-being of the students and population, just like all colleges and universities. And I know that when Oscar comes up here, he can address that specifically to what UIC is doing, because I know that's something that a lot of people are concerned about, and it's something that you need to address so that you can be comfortable with the uncomfortable. Sir, can I know what is the rank of computer science programs at UIC Chicago? So computer science, which department would computer science be when it comes to back there, when we're doing our meet and greet? Engineering. So to answer this question when it comes to rankings, you're going to be back in there as well. After this session, there's going to be the different department people who are going to be back there who can answer your specific questions. And one of the things that's really cool is ranking's important, but I would also say, hey, can you direct me to a few grads who have been engineers? Then look at their path through LinkedIn and look and see, because rankings are one thing, but more important than rankings are the people who have taken their degree and been able to do something in alignment with what's truly important to them. And that's really where I see the value. What are the most important deciding factors while choosing a college? Remember I talked about SEPFA, social, emotional, physical, financial, academic? So what you do is you rank those. You rank those from 1 to 5. And you look at those 1 to 5 and you think people, places, patience. Social's most important, people, places, patience. Financial, people, places, patience. Zuriel told me his financial story. And he's a full scholarship, right? You went abroad, right? I said, what, did it cost a lot to go abroad? He's like, it was covered through his scholarships. He had other options for schools that would have been a lot more expensive. We talked about that as well. And he shared with me why he chose to go here. And he's an example of someone who goes after what he wants, puts himself in places, finds people who are aligned with what's important to him, and nothing is going to stop him. So you can talk to him about that because he's going to be able to guide you. There are so many wonderful questions here. I love these, and I'm going to answer these. I'm going to sit on my phone and direct you, and I can also direct you to some of the individuals as well. I want to tell you how humbled I am. I want you to know how grateful I am and so thankful I am that I can be here during this incredible time and moment in your life. And I really encourage you and invite you to please stay connected with me through social media. I'm doing so many things. I want to be there to help you to get wherever you want to go. And I am so thankful and grateful that I can be here with you today. Thank you all, and have the most incredible day on campus. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. As I allow Rob to go ahead and, or our technical difficulties will be. All right, so this next part of the program delves a little bit deeper into the kinds of things that we've been talking about that I tried to allude to earlier. We're going to try and break down into sessions. Parents and guardians and guests, you're going to remain in this room. But for this next portion, students, I need you to pay attention to your name badges in specific. You signed up for sessions. So for the next 2 breakout sessions, parents will remain here. Students are going to go to 2 different places. It is critically important, based on where we put the sessions and the popularity of sessions, that if you signed up for a session in session 1 and it's listed on your name tag, that you go to that session first and not go to that session instead during session 2, right? Because we've got certain capacity in the rooms, will be overloaded, and the fire marshal will come and kick us out of the building. So we'll go ahead and do that when we need to break out. I'm going to dismiss you by group, and I'm going to point out what door you're going out of and who's going to escort you out as we head on to this next part of the program. So students who for session 1 have young alums, college aftermath, you're going to be leaving from door B with Hope and Brian. Hope and Brian, if you could raise the sign there. So young alums, session 1. It's almost like passing period in between classes. All right, so let's start queuing the next group up, and I will ask that you remain in your seat until that group is fully out. But the next session that we're going to release is the Walk It, Talk It, the Honors Experience, and you'll be going with Nita and Mariano out of the same space. So if Nita and Mariano, if you could raise your signs, we can start moving. So the session 1 for Walk It, Talk It, the Honors Experience. And just as an FYI, parents, because I neglected to say it, after the 2 breakout sessions, they will be returning here. So no panics. We'll make sure that we get your students back for you. Okay, so Alejandra and Beckett can start raising their signs and raising their signs. That's the I'm first session. So as soon as we've got the honor session out the door, you can start lining up and grouping up there around Alejandra, and we'll make sure that you head to the I'm first session for session 1. Okay, the next session is Your Project is College, and that's being escorted out by Jackie and Efren. So you can group toward the front here. Again, session 1, Your Project is College. And then the last breakout session for students should in fact be uniquely UIC. So if you signed up for session 1, uniquely UIC, Oksana and Patrick are right here in the front, and start gathering there, and they'll make sure that you get to your session. Let's give them just 30 seconds to a minute to make their way out of the room, and then parents will go ahead and start moving into the value of UIC and some pretty much an open dialogue about what to expect next, and some things about the campus itself and whatever it is that you happen to be interested in. Okay, so we planned, we had built in 30 minutes of flex time, so we're actually okay. We had started 10 minutes late, and then we had the 5 minute transition period, so we're actually 5 minutes behind, so we'll be going until 5 minutes past what's listed on the agenda, just so everyone's aware of how we're doing for time. So over the next hour or 50 minutes or so, what we're going to do here as a collective group is we're going to go ahead, and I've got a small number of slides. I've got 5 of them to be precise. It's just an opportunity for me to go ahead and go through 5 quick things, and then I'm going to bring up a couple UIC staff members to have some conversation with the staff. The intention there is oftentimes what happens during these sorts of events is we structure these activities such that perhaps you find that you are not getting all of your questions answered, or that perhaps we aren't actually addressing certain kinds of issues that you might find are important for you and your family and your decision making. Now, here's what I understand after working with students and families for a certain period of time. If you are thinking something and don't ask it, odds are someone else in the room is thinking it, not asking it as well. So we thought that we would create, and we've been successful with this, creating a panel-style discussion, bringing enough people that can address multiple different topics on campus and give the floor to you. I'll have 3 questions to sort of get us started, just so that conversation gets flowing, so you get an idea of who's on stage and how we answer questions and the kind of questions that we feel good about answering. But then we'll have some people roaming around having conversation. It's a pretty big room because we had 1,000+ guests here today. I'm going to ask you to stay there because your students have to find you afterwards. But ultimately, please, this is your session. Take the session wherever it is that you want, and let's make sure that we're talking about the topics that are most relevant for those of you who are here in the room today. So when we talk about value in UIC, it's much more than those typical things that people tend to talk about, right? Like businesses turn to talking about value because when they go right down to it, really it also ultimately comes back down to costs, right? Costs dominate the world of college admissions right now in terms of what people talk about. When people talk about costs, usually what they're talking about is in fact tuition, and they're only talking about tuition. They aren't in fact talking about what it is that an institution provides to people, to students, to families, and why it is that you would actually want to go to that institution, and what it is that that institution provides sort of in exchange for your students, for 4 years of your student's life, and the tuition that you're actually paying to attend an institution. So how do you talk about that? How do you talk about what happens over the course of 4 years? We can go ahead and approach this in lots of different ways here, but the reality here is this, that if you were to zoom out, you were to look at where it is that UIC is actually recognized, you could actually see where it is that the University of Illinois at Chicago values the student experience, like what it is that we focus on, what it is that we think is important, because that's actually where you're going to find that we're actually being recognized, right? The Wall Street Journal ranked us number 8 and has consistently ranked us in the top 10 the last 2 years since they've started doing this ranking of best value institutions, right? This means that we're sitting in the ballpark of institutions like the University of California, Berkeley, and Harvard University. Money Magazine ranked us in the top 10 nationwide as a most transformative institution. What are we doing with students? What kinds of things are we doing with students that they feel that we transform students from the moment they arrive on campus to the moment that they leave on this campus? Washington Monthly ranked us as 31 in the nation as contributing to the public good. Again, so what does that mean, right? Why are we being ranked there? Why am I even bringing up these specific things, right? For us, it's 5 things. It's 5 things that are important at this institution. The first 2 are research and academic excellence, and you cannot separate one from the other. Provost Poser this morning, when she decided to highlight some of the research offerings and some specific faculty members, was doing exactly this. Who are the faculty that we have on campus? What kinds of things are they actually doing? What kinds of knowledge are they bringing into the world? And why are they choosing to be here? And that choice word is very important. I've been at multiple different institutions, and when I arrived here, something happened here that I have never heard in the time that I've been in higher ed. We had a new president of the University of Illinois system join us about 6 or 7 years ago. That president was doing town hall meetings. There was a town hall. I decided to attend the town hall. It was filled with faculty and staff. I had faculty at this institution stand up and say to the new president of the University of Illinois system and say, I understand that you're president of the University of Illinois system, but UIC is doing something special here. I could be at Stanford, I could be at MIT. I'm at UIC because I want to work with these students. That's as clear an indication as I can give you. Faculty who are here, they're Research 1 faculty. They're amongst the best faculty in the world. But they are here because they want to serve these students. The academic work is important. They want to produce research at a high level. They want to discover and bring new knowledge into the world. But they want to work with these students. And we'll go ahead and get on to what that means in just 1 minute. It's pretty easy to take for granted who we are and where we are in the city of Chicago. Right? This kind of campus environment doesn't exist around the country. It just doesn't. If you visit UCLA, if you visit USC, what you'll find is you'll find urban campuses, but you'll find urban campuses that are surrounded by a wall. You'll find urban campuses that are surrounded by a fence. You'll find urban campuses that are not connected in the same sorts of way as we are connected here at Chicago. You walk out this door, you look to the skyline. We're within 1.5 miles of the lake. And that means access to internships and co-ops. That means access to culture here on campus in a different sort of way. The Blue Line has a stop that is 3 city blocks north of where you sit right now. The metro station is 3 city blocks in the other direction from where we stand. Right? The city is the student's past. The city is the student's playground. The city is the student's environment. It's not just the university campus. We make sure that students have access to culture, the lyric opera. If they're into athletic events, the athletic events, we make sure that our faculty are involved in the city. You have exactly 4 Tony Award-winning theater companies in the city. Our faculty in architecture, design, and the arts are members at all 4. Right? So the campus is open and it's actually intertwined into the city of Chicago, and it's important to the student experience. It's important to the research that we do here. And it's important that students, particularly students who are Chicago students and Chicago area students, it is incredibly easy to forget the environment that you're actually living in and the environment that you're actually able to experience here. It's easy. I'm a West Side kid. I grew up in Humboldt Park. And if I did not go to school at Lincoln Park High School, I would not have made my way across the city on a regular basis. I would have stayed in Humboldt Park. Fantastic city. Humboldt Park has great culture and great diversity. But I never would have left Humboldt Park. By nature of being who we are, where we're at, and providing services to students so that they could, in fact, take advantage of what the city is, we're asking your students to take advantage of this world-class city while they're here. I'm going to use this opportunity as Harlan made some note of it. It broke the heart of many and hurt many here at UIC, the Ruthie George situation. The campus itself is still in fact reeling from it in many parts. Many of the staff members that you're seeing today are reeling from what happened on this campus. She was a known quantity to many of us. The campus does in fact take the safety of its students incredibly seriously. And our condolences to the family, not just in my condolences, specifically not just to the family, but to the staff members who also considered her part of our family here on campus. The campus has responded in a number of different ways. This is, in fact, one of the safest college campuses in the entire country if you actually look at the statistics and you look at the rankings there. It does not change the circumstances. It does not change what actually happened, but it is one of those things. The campus has got 24-hour now coverage in the parking lots for the foreseeable future. The campus has over 1,000 different video cameras on campus. It's important to note that even though this unfortunate instance happened, UIC police were able to have the suspected offender in custody within 15 hours. Again, we do in fact respond, we are in fact involved, and we do in fact listen to the concerns of students, and safety is incredibly important here for us. Again, it's important for us to be able to balance things. It's important for us to remain that institution that is open to the city, open to the environment, and making sure that our students can take advantage of it. And we'll continue to do what we can to do with students. We will have a table in the back. Campus safety isn't here. UIC Police is in fact here today. If you want to learn a bit more details about what we're doing in response and the kinds of services that we have available to students, and they are plentiful, please, I encourage you to go to the back and engage with them afterward during the info fair. So the city of Chicago, important to whom, what we are, and what it is that we accomplish here on campus. The provost made a passing comment about this, but allow me to drive this home a little bit more. University of Illinois at Chicago is one of the most diverse college campuses in the entire nation. There is no racial or ethnic majority here. She made reference to over 70 different languages being spoken on campus. The diversity here is beyond the diversity that you see. If you pause just now to see who is admitted early access and you just look around the room, you see the diversity that we're talking about. I brought counselors, and I do bring counselors in from around the world to visit campus, to get to know who and what we are and get a feel for what we do on this campus. And it was funny to me recently when I had a counselor from Africa here, and she said, as she was visiting multiple institutions in the U.S., she said, American institutions really love to talk about diversity. Yeah, we do. We do. And at the different institutions I've been at, we talk about it as well. But when you walk on your campus, you see what it is that you're talking about. And that's absolutely correct. You cannot undervalue what it is that students experience while they're here. We know that students are going to go out into a workforce that is going to increasingly depend on their ability to work with people who are different. The world is becoming much, much smaller, much more intertwined. And if you cannot work through those differences, if you cannot somehow put yourself in the other person's perspective, you will be unable to be as effective in work and in life in the future. It's simply a fact. We see it in our politics today. It is critical that the students have these sorts of experiences. Let me call this out very, very purposefully. Harlan did this in his own way today as well. What I'm asking your students to do, what I'm asking you to help your students do, is be able to walk into the classroom and confront difference and be uncomfortable on a fairly regular basis. Make no bones about that. That is exactly what's going to happen. And if a student can work their way through that here, that student will be uniquely equipped to go on and go forward in life. I guarantee you that that's the case. I promise you that that's part of our value proposition here. We are going to prepare your students to go out into the world, be able to deal with difference, and be able to work through that in a positive, meaningful way. And the final thing about us that I think is just different based on some of the work that we do is this commitment to social good. There is an element, there's a thread of social justice and social good that makes its way through this campus. We are constantly grappling with what it is that we're doing and how we provide access for faculty, staff, and our students to make a difference in the world. It is no small it is no small surprise that 2 blocks down the street, the Jane Addams Hull House, what remains of it, actually sits there on our campus, that the birthplace of social work and trying to do good for others, that this campus was built around that foundation. It's no surprise that the kinds of drugs that we're producing and the kinds of things that we're doing with those outcomes is in fact happening here on this campus. There's an element here of, if you do this, if you think about this, if you discover this, then do you go out there and what do you do with that discovery? And the work is not done here unless we can figure out a way to get that work out into the world to try and make some social good or try and make some social impact in a positive, meaningful sort of way. When you go back to those rankings that I shared earlier, those rankings are all about what kinds of things do we do for the community in the world, what kinds of things do we do for students that they think about the world in a different place and they're transformed? And what kinds of things do we do so that students are thinking about it, prepared to engage the world in a different way, right? Yes, this campus is pursuing prestige like all campuses pursuing. Yes, they're pursuing betterment of the campus and the campus community like all campuses are, but our ends are different. Our ends are, what are we doing with our students? What are we doing with our faculty and the research that we're producing here, and how are we producing people to go out into the world and make an impact in the most positive way possible? And the examples are numerous, the examples are plentiful, and many, many people who spend their entire lives here at UIC undervalue actually this simple little slide about what it is that we are at the University of Illinois at Chicago. So I thought that I would make sure that we cover those 5 things. I told you it was 5 slides. That's it, 5 slides. We're the presenting part of this whole program is now over. Hopefully we framed a little bit. Your students are going through multiple sessions. What we're going to do next is instead we're going to bring a couple panelists up and we're going to have some conversations. Again, I've got 3 questions to get us started, but I'm going to turn over the floor to all of you. And wherever it is that you take the conversation, you take the conversation. We've been doing this for a few years. One year we spent some time talking about athletics. Please let's not talk about athletics. But we spent 1 year talking about athletics because that's just where everyone was at the year. We spent other years talking about how it is that people take advantage of student life here. So this can go in a lot of different directions, and it really does depend on you. So with that, we're going to go ahead and bring up and give them an opportunity to get their lavalier mics on when they sit down at the couches. Again, my name is Oscar Rodriguez. I'm in Academic and Enrollment Services, and then Josephine Volpe, who is from Undergraduate Affairs, and Keely Fletcher, who is our Office of Student Financial Aid and Scholarships. And we'll get going in just 1 second.
Test, test.
Test?
Can you hear us?
Test?
Great.
All right, so before we get started, why don't I ask that each of you introduce yourselves, give everyone in the audience an idea of who you are, perhaps your history here on campus, and the kinds of things that you're involved in here at UIC.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Keely Fletcher. I'm Executive Director of Financial Aid and Scholarships here at UIC. I've been at UIC now in this particular role for nearly 2 years. I've been in financial aid for over 20. So I'm very excited to be with all of you this morning to help answer any financial aid related questions you might have. You know, UIC is a very special place. And I worked at UIC prior to coming back, and I came back to UIC specifically because how special this campus is and how special our students are. So again, I'm excited to meet you all this morning.
Hi, everyone. I'm Joey Volpe. Josephine is my full name. Everyone here on campus calls me Joey. I've been acquainted to UIC since 1994, actually. I'm currently the Assistant Vice Provost for Advising Development. It's a fancy title that basically means I work with all of our advising teams and all of our front-facing student staff. So our staff members that work with your students, you've heard about a number of them today, from Harlan, from Oscar, from Provost Poser. And I actually started here at UIC as an undergraduate, left, went to California. I can tell you that story another time. Very exciting and fun time for me. And came back in 2001, and I've held a number of positions, all of them working in our undergraduate division. I started in the Honors College. I was the Guaranteed Professional Program Admissions Coordinator for about 8 years, and then moved over into working in our Undergraduate Affairs office in the areas I work in now. And I handle often a number of our student areas where we're working on interventions for students who may be having some challenges and working through those challenges with our advising teams. I also get the opportunity to work on a lot of our special projects working with our students and some of our best opportunities. So our division also works with our external fellowships division and scholarships and research. So it's exciting, and I'm excited to be here with you today. So welcome, thanks for being here.
Okay, so I'm not in fact being rude. I'm being paperless. My questions are on my phone. So we'll start with an affordability related question. So when choosing a college or university, while attending, a student is oftentimes would appear to be competing interests. So costs are often at the core of that tension. So how do we make UIC affordable? And then how would we suggest people can make decisions about college selection given those tensions that do in fact exist?
Well, one of the major things when it comes to looking at the overall affordability of a college, as much as we would like it, unfortunately, when it comes to financial aid notifications, what some folks refer to as award letters, they're not standard. So each college kind of has their own, right? The important factor is when you're looking at one of those award notifications, an award letter, there's all different even names. But basically, it's a sheet of paper that shows at that school, this is what kind of financial aid and scholarship programs your student is going to receive. The most important factor on that is the overall cost of attendance. Now, the cost of attendance is calculated based on a number of factors. There's indirect costs and direct costs. And I would encourage you to make sure that when you're looking at the overall cost of attendance, that you can identify both of those things. We try on our financial aid notifications that will go out typically around the end of February, beginning of March for our incoming class, that we identify very, very clearly on that award letter exactly what are direct costs to UIC and what are indirect costs to UIC. The indirect costs, those are costs that we think you might accrue, be it housing expenses, miscellaneous costs. We even include transportation, even though we do have the CTA pass here at UIC as well. So we have some of those soft costs that might change from family to family. So it's really important to make sure when you're looking at a notification that you're isolating out what are those indirect costs for your family and how much you might need for those indirect costs. Now, when it comes to direct costs, that's when the actual financial aid amounts really come into play. And it's important to do the calculation based on what kind of gift aid you're receiving, which is what we know as free money, which are grants and scholarship offers, as well as if you plan to use university housing and how that type of financial aid equates to those types of costs. Now, there are some universities that actually don't even include the cost of attendance on their award letters, which is a little troubling, but almost all of them do have that on a website, so sometimes you have to dig for it. You wouldn't have to dig for it at UIC. We try to be very transparent. Also, when it comes to the financial aid award notifications, some schools will start sending them out already. Some of you might have already received notifications from some of your campuses, from some of the campuses to which you applied for. The reason why we wait at UIC is our goal is to get you the correct financial aid notification once. So that notification you receive is exactly what you can expect at UIC. So that's why we wait a little bit longer, so that we have things like our tuition and fees set, that we make sure that I'm communicating with Oscar's office, that we have any types of scholarships that you're going to receive already reflected on your notification. So you know exactly what you're going to get at UIC in February, as opposed to maybe getting something in November that might not be so accurate, and then you're getting another letter in March or another letter in April. That's not how we do things here. We want to make sure we're completely transparent with you, and you know exactly what you're receiving up front, and also that our costs are very transparent, so you can do those calculations for what makes sense for you and your family.
Yeah, I think one of the most important things to always remember is that there are also opportunities with this opportunity that you have at UIC where you know what your cost is. One of the things to always think about is that there are things that you as a family can also do, but also ask us. We always ask. One of the most important things to always do is ask when you're thinking about the tension between these two things, is what can we afford and where do we want to be and how do we deal with those things. One of the things we've always talked about with students, and I've done since I started here in 2001 as an advisor, is to work, when I'm working with your children, essentially, we really try and have them think through opportunities that they currently have to apply for scholarships that are not UIC based. And some of that just means that it's really things that your family can do as well, and it gives you a chance to think through some of those options and also think through the costs, right? So the indirect cost piece is one that we spend a lot of time with students on when we're working with you, because we want to make sure that we're really helping students balance and have opportunities at our institution, right? And one of the other things I will mention, and I'm going to say this because I think it's really important. There is a federal work study if students are eligible for that. We have great opportunities there, and we feel that this is one of the best options for students, because you heard Provost Poser this morning mentions a supported research. We actually have a program called the Chancellor's Undergraduate Research Assistantship Program, and students who qualify for a federal work study actually qualify for this program. We also have a number of offices on campus who believe really strongly in this, and it's something to consider in this vein, right? That we want students not only to be part of our community for academics, but also part of our community for work and professional development and those super important skills that you've been teaching them their whole lives, right? And so this is actually really part of that affordability piece. It allows students to be part of our campus and actually have a lot of those opportunities. And when you're looking at campuses and you're looking at the opportunity there, it's really something to consider. And here at UIC, you can have students, so students can be in a certain major, but they may have a love of, you know, like our rec center, for example. They may have a love of sports, but that's not what they're going to do while they're in college. They can actually be an employee at the rec center and do different kinds of things, or do training things and other kinds of things like that. There's so many opportunities. We have students who often find their second careers or their biggest hobbies in the student work that they've done too, but you get it through federal work study, which is great. We love federal work study students, so that's something I would mention.
Yep, and just on the opposite of that too, if your student actually just wants to really be in their department, they're very focused on what they want to do. Say they want to work in biological sciences or something along those lines. We have many federal work study positions open in labs or in that department work, so they'd be able to get exposure to faculty, exposure to additional staff members who might actually kind of outside the classroom help that student succeed academically, or even help them make that next level, make that next step, be it to a profession, be it to an internship, or even maybe even to graduate or professional school.
So I've been at Research One institutions my entire professional career. and I have something that someone needs to be able to solve for me. And I give you this idea or this concept because the first person to do this will be a billionaire. And that is, if someone could figure out how to get a 17 or an 18-year-old to act on something. Here, you must do one of these 3 things. Now, go, do. If someone could figure out a way to do that consistently, they would be a billionaire. Because part of what you're hearing here is, in fact, listen, part of the way you can help support your students through this sort of experience, especially someplace like UIC, where we're so broad, where we have so many different opportunities for students, that may, in fact, intertwine academics with some aid or with some merit or perhaps with another experience that they might not think, is to, in fact, ask the questions. Stop by and ask the question of the advisor. Stop by and ask the question of the person at a financial aid office. Stop by and ask the question. Helping your students understand that asking the question, seeking out some assistance or perhaps some additional information, regardless of where it is or regardless of what concern they might have, is one of the most powerful things you can do to help your young person be able to broadly impact their experience regardless of area on the college campus, whether it be financial, academic, or whether it be social. So just sort of pulling that out because it was an underlying piece of everything.
Absolutely agree. I'm going to say one thing. I know we have other questions, but one of the things I would mention is something very specific that one of Keeley's directors works on, which is our scholarships division. And scholarships is a great example of that. We have a number of scholarships that students apply to, right? And one of the things that's really important for us is, it sounds like we're giving you work to do. I don't want to sound that way. What we really mean by that is that there's one of the reasons we really value this opportunity for students to apply for scholarships is it gives them the opportunity to develop the skills that they're currently developing now, but to amp those up for things like all of the things they're looking to do in their careers and their communication ability. And how do they talk about themselves? How do they talk about their goals? That's often what a lot of these scholarships are looking for. And we have them and they're encapsulated, and we give an opportunity for students to do that. But I think that's a great example, right? Because it really is, although we don't want to give them work to do, we actually believe that it hones in on the things we are here to do with them, and we support students through that. We have folks who help them write personal statements, for example. It's really important to know that our writing center folks can also help with not just assignments, but they help with things that are general writing. So to us, it's actually not just work for them, it's actually something we love to do.
Sure. All right, one more question before I open it up. So it is in fact rare for a large research institution to have a true campus in the middle of an urban center. So what opportunities do you think that intersection affords students? And I mean, even further, I mean, why do you think that's important?
Well, I think it's incredibly important. So I often mention when I introduced myself to you, I mentioned that I was an undergraduate here, but that I left and I went to California. I think it's really important for us to be able to talk with you about the intersection of a research institution. So one of the things that and in the city of Chicago, one of the things that you heard today already is about our researchers and our faculty members care about undergraduates. But one of the things that we often talk about too, which you also heard from Provost Poser, from Oscar, and from a number of folks, is that our researchers are doers. So we want our students to do with us. So for example, you have the opportunity here on campus. We have a student who is a finalist for the Rhodes Scholarship, if you're familiar with that. And he is a student who is an immigrant from Syria. He came here, actually wanted to pursue 3 majors. He wound up doing 2. But what he did as a student is he not only works and intersects in the city of Chicago, he's actually working to cure disease. But he literally has been working in a lab here on campus. That being said, there's also individual work where he applies that work in the city, working with a lot of the volunteering areas and a lot of the different programs that our campus puts together for students to intersect with. And you don't necessarily always have that opportunity at different campuses. So a number of our students who, and I'm picking healthcare, but we could pick a number of different areas. So we could pick also education. We can actually pick sociology or psychology. One of the things I'll mention is, for example, say you have a student and your children want to work and be in healthcare. And what we do is they may be studying something in one of their courses here on campus, and they get interested in that, and they ask their faculty faculty member. We have a faculty member who teaches undergraduates who actually works in our Mile Square Health Center as well. That's actually unusual, right? And what that student then can do is they actually can sometimes take advantage of that, and they go and they are actually in the community here in Chicago. They're in the community that we work with. But we also give them connections across the entire city. And that's something that's really important. And as a research institution, what they are doing is participating and contributing to cutting edge research in every area, but also cutting edge doing. So we're talking about theater and music and a whole series of things. Now I'll get on my soapbox. I'll stop and I'll let other folks answer.
Well, to that point, though, and the lovely thing about that community relationship is the funding will follow. So we do have, because we are the university for Chicago, really, we have a lot of community partners that kind of put their money where their mouth is when it comes to funding our students who are in these exact research opportunities or in these other talent-based focused areas that contribute to the overall cultural diversity of the city, as well as the overall Research One aspect of the university itself and want to partner with us. So there are funding available for students who want to pursue that kind of relationship and the community partnerships that we have currently with the city of Chicago.
I'll pivot slightly and say, to go into a more social part of this. Pilsen, which is a neighborhood just on the south side of this university, and Fulton Market, which is just on the north side of this campus as well. Those two neighborhoods were ranked in different magazines as essentially the coolest neighborhoods on the planet. Not in the country, not in the state, but the planet. And students are within walking distance of both to be able to take advantage of those things. Downtown Chicago, again, we alluded to it earlier, I alluded to it earlier in specific. Downtown Chicago with its opportunities for internships and work. A little bit further when you go to the lakefront with its opportunities based on the brilliant design of the city, the decisions made back in the early 1900s about how the city would in fact grow and develop, with its opportunities for culture with the museums and other cultural institutions that exist there in the park. Right? It really is something special. And when you think about other institutions who talk about being in these large urban centers, even institutions in the city of Chicago, none of them actually have that sort of accessibility to those kinds of things the same way that a UIC student does. We're very, very fortunate here, and people really do undervalue how important that could be or how impactful that could be for their student experience.
Yeah, I have students who actually, I have a student I can tell you that I think it's really important to mention. One of the things that would happen, he would come, he because of where we are, he actually worked and did did essentially daily would go and do work in the Fulton Market District, right? And come back and forth to campus for class and go back. And really it was designed for him, and the company he worked for is a marketing company, and they very much valued having UIC students as their part-time staff because it was really important to be able to take advantage of having great young innovative thought through college students. But then the college students, this is what you want to do. These are smaller companies that are also partnered to Google and a whole series of companies that work in these areas. And they're in these areas for a reason. And so it's really a great advantage for our students. It's exciting.
So I took a peek at my phone before I delivered the last question, and you know, in the interest of time, because we can certainly talk about any of these topics in depth for some period of time.
Sure.
We've got 3 microphones floating around the space. We've got Myra standing to my right, hand up. I've got Richard right in the center here, and we got Samantha to my left there. If there are questions, if there are, and there they go. So if we can start, we're happy to take them, happy to answer, and happy to take the conversation wherever it is that you want to take the conversation.
Hi. I know that some of the schools in the University of Illinois system do, but I wanted to know why the UIC doesn't honor or offer reciprocity.
Reciprocity in
Tuition.
With other states?
Yeah.
Okay, so the University of Illinois system as a whole, so University of Illinois at Urbana, University of Illinois Springfield, and University of Illinois at Chicago, Because you've got a 3-university system, and really you only have one other system in the state of Illinois. You got Southern and then Southern with SIUE and SIUC. Those kinds of decisions are often made at the university system level and not at the university specific level. So the university system has chosen not to go down that road. You will find that we approach admissions slightly differently. We approach how we award aid differently. And this is one of those ways that if the University of Illinois at Chicago could in fact approach it differently, we probably would. Now, full disclosure here at UIC, again, because we value, if it's not already obvious that we value diversity, which essentially means we value different voices, and we're trying to attract different voices to campus because we think it's important to an educational experience. We offer something called a merit tuition rate for students who are not students of the state of Illinois. In other words, they meet a certain academic threshold. Instead of charging them the entire, in charging them just a differential, we charge them a half of that differential if they meet a certain academic threshold. Again, trying to make it more affordable for out-of-state students. You may have seen in the news that students who are members of federally recognized tribal nations, regardless of where they live, those students, they're essentially going to be, they're going to have that portion of tuition waived away, and they are essentially going to pay the same as an Illinois state resident. Again, federal tribal nations, though those native voices are important and underrepresented here. And you may have also heard that we started offering the equivalent, again, by waiving that non-resident portion for Lake County, Indiana students. Again, Lake County, Indiana, if you think about it, it's essentially a Chicago suburb. So there were students who were essentially in a Chicago suburb who were unable to afford coming here. We were hoping that we could make it more affordable. But in order we are unable, because of the way that we're structured as a system, to pursue full-on reciprocity with other states such as Michigan or Ohio or Indiana or Missouri or some of the others.
All right, we've got one over here.
My question is about scholarships. So specifically, where would a student find out about the scholarships and how to apply? And do they already have to have accepted, or can they start doing it already?
Well, that's a very good question. So this question is regarding scholarships. So there are all different types of scholarships. There are scholarships that are offered through UIC in general. And those scholarships are typically awarded just based on your admissions application. Now, we normally don't actually award that scholarships, those admissions-based scholarships to students until they've actually been admitted. But those are awarded, so we have those general types of scholarships that are awarded through the admissions process. We also have our departmental and college awards and those different types of scholarships, which can be awarded through the various colleges that we have here at UIC. We also have the University Foundation. So we have a system here at UIC for students once they are admitted, and it's called SNAP. And it is basically a central repository of scholarship information that a student can go in, fill out a general application, and Joey kind of mentioned this a little earlier, where when they fill out that general application, it'll automatically match the student with scholarships that they might be interested in or they might qualify for. Now, some of them, that's all they need to do. All they need is that general scholarship application, and it'll match them, and then the process will take over from there. It'll go to the people who make the choices, and then your student will hear from that various unit. Some of them might require a little bit more work. Some require an actual application essay, some of those types of items. But we have over 400 scholarship opportunities in the SNAP process. So students, once they are admitted, they can actually go in and start taking a look at the SNAP application. Now, I will say this, right now, currently most of the scholarships that are in the UIC database are earmarked for continuing students. We are working on that. Oscar and I and Joey and a bunch of other folks at UIC are trying to work that out so that we have more scholarships available for this upcoming year for students who are actually interested in enrolling at UIC. So that is something that we are currently working on and hoping to make an impact for the upcoming fall 2020 semester. But we do have that central repository. So that's what we do at UIC. Now, with that said, there are tons of different third-party scholarship agencies out there that students can use. Fastweb.com is a very good source. It is a trusted source. And we would recommend that highly. What to avoid? And sadly, there are also a lot of scholarship scams out there too. So if you're looking at a scholarship and they say, hey, it's $25 to apply, that's a scam. Almost any scholarship agency out there It's free money, it's gift aid. They're not going to ask you to pay for it, okay? If you have any questions, like you're looking at a website and you have any questions, is this okay, is this not okay? Please feel free to contact us at UIC, and we're more than happy to work with you to vet that particular scholarship agency, and also work with you if it's a third party in terms of what you might need to support, writing an essay, something along those lines, to help you apply for that particular scholarship opportunity. So again, there's kind of two options. We have our UIC-based options, and we also have our third-party options. And we'd recommend, right now, you could already start with the third-party options. And if your student has already been admitted, if they have a net ID, they can actually go in and start taking a look at SNAP. Now, the SNAP cycle has not started yet for fall of 2020. We're hoping to move that up, so it'll be available sometime around April this year, that your student will go in and see actually what's available for next year. But that is still an opportunity. They can still go in and see what's currently out there to see what options they might have if they choose to come to UIC.
Yeah, we always recommend it. Now, one of the other things I would say too is if your local chambers of commerce, many local chambers of commerce or boards or organizations in your local communities, they actually have some small dollar value scholarships, and some are actually not small, right? But those are things that you wouldn't necessarily always find on FastWeb, although they're sometimes there. But you're in your community, so it's worth just looking and kind of thinking through some of that if there are opportunities there.
And there's also interest-based scholarships too. Like, believe it or not, if your particular child really likes playing video games, there is a video game scholarship out there for students who like to play video games. So if they have a passion or if they have a talent, it's worth looking up to see, hey, is there a scholarship out there? I'm not even joking. We have 3 students who have that video game scholarship. No joke. And it's not a small award. It's like $1,000. Hey, that's a good amount of meal plan, right? That's $500 per semester. So that's a good resource for those students. So again, that's another option as well. That might not be on FastWeb, but take a look around and see what's out there. And again, if you have any questions as if this is on the up and up, do not hesitate to reach out to us. We are more than happy to help you with that, to say, yeah, I don't know, that doesn't look so great, or yeah, please apply, and what can we do to help you get this scholarship?
Okay, I have a question back here.
I got 2 questions. So first on housing, is it does UIC provide housing for all 4 years if a student so chooses to stay? Second part to that question is, does UIC recommend at least the first year student to stay in a dorm or so?
Sure. So yes, to the first question, students can live in housing as undergraduates for any term that they can be continuous. That's up to them.
We even have graduate students in housing as well.
Correct. And where we also have there's many different types of housing for students. So there's traditional housing plus apartment style housing, which so students can actually optimize what they'd like at different times. But we absolutely, here's the way I will answer this. If you as families would have the opportunity to have your child be in housing, we absolutely recommend it. That being said, what we want to be very clear about is that if that is not an opportunity that is going to be something that your children can take advantage of, that is okay. So from that perspective, we really try and be attentive to what each family can do. Being in housing is an incredible opportunity, and so we very much recommend that. But we also don't want any student who it feels like we don't want them to miss out on what we do on campus. We have an incredibly vibrant commuter center, and they work on any range of things, and they are a real home for our students who actually are commuting to campus. We do have thousands of students who do live on campus. So my answer would be, it's within the framework of what you can do and what you may want to be thinking about. We absolutely would recommend it, but we certainly would not say that being a commuter is something where you're losing out.
Question.
Yes. Merit scholarships, are they part of the SNAP scholarships?
There are merit scholarships that are part of SNAP. Yes, for sure. We have merit awards that are based on admissions information, so based on high school transcript information such as grade point average, ACT, SAT. The major program that we have for merit-based students is called the Chancellor Fellow Award, and then we have a subset of that called the Provost Fellows Awards, which are our kind of high merit, high achieving award programs, and those are evaluated at the time of admission. But if you don't receive a merit-based award through the admissions process, it does not mean you're never going to get a merit-based award here at UIC. The SNAP process also looks at merit, and some of our college partners do have merit-based awards that they're evaluating through the SNAP process. So again, most of our merit-based awards that are awarded through the admissions process are done off of high school information and awarded at that time, but that does not mean those are the only merit-based programs here at UIC. Many of our colleges, in particular business, they have the Business Scholars Program, which is a merit-based award. The College of Engineering also has merit-based awards as well that we work through, in particular STEM-based programming. So there are other merit-based awards that are awarded outside of the admissions process. So those are not just exclusive. And yes, SNAP also has merit-based awards that could be awarded through student affairs or awarded through particular foundation work. Some of our foundation awards are merit contingent. So merit-based awards are kind of awarded in many different manner, but yes, SNAP does have merit-based awards as well.
For the most part, a lot of those, for the most part, the vast majority of awards that are made on this campus that do in fact use the information that's submitted during the application process just use the information that's included in the application.
Yeah.
So in other words, we're not asking students for those awards to complete additional essays or submit additional information. The application in and of itself has already asked that information. So for example, when Keely made reference to some of the awards that are made in the colleges based on admissions information, we didn't ask the students for extra information. The student, when they completed the application, the information that was included there is in fact what's used for those awards later. So when it appears that if it feels like we're not asking for a whole lot of extra information for scholarships, it's because we're not. It's because the application itself has the information and there are some exceptions, but there are not very many exceptions. We do try to make it as simple as possible, but it does in fact obfuscate the fact that there are in fact awards and consideration that does in fact happen based on the information that was already submitted.
Hello. Can you talk a little bit about the AIM High Illinois program? Is it something that an admitted student have to apply for, or is it given in the award letter? And like I understand that it's given to mostly valedictorian. What about students that are just good but not quite valedictorian?
Right. Okay. So the AIM High program, I kind of mentioned it just a little bit ago. We call it the Chancellor Fellow program here. So the Chancellor Fellow program is our version of AIM High. So it's the AIM High is kind of the funding source through the state of Illinois. So the Chancellor Fellow program is what we call our AIM High eligible students. And as Oscar mentioned, it is a single application when it comes to both the admission side as well as the financial side. There is a financial component to the AIM High program, and we are required by state law, unfortunately, any public institution is tied to the financial component where a FAFSA has to be filed. So that's the free application for federal student aid. So there's no additional financial application that needs to be filed. You only have to file the FAFSA for the financial component, and you only have to file the admissions application for the admissions component to be considered for the Chancellor Fellow. So the deadline dates for those were November 1st, and I believe for Chicago Public Schools there was we gave a little bit extra time because of the teacher strike for students to get in their admissions information. So when it comes to who qualifies for that here at UIC, again, it's earmarked for high achieving Illinois residents. So a student has to be graduating from an Illinois high school. Here at UIC, we award it to our incoming population. And so a student would need to have a 3.8 grade point average, a 30 on the ACT, and is it 1350? 1350 on the SAT, or a high school valedictorian. So those are the criteria that the student has to meet. So you don't have to be a high school valedictorian to be eligible for the Chancellor Fellow, provided you meet one of the other metrics, the grade point average and the ACT, or the grade point average and the SAT. And again, that's evaluated through the admissions process, and my staff and Oscar's staff work very, very closely together to identify those students right away so that we can make sure that students are notified of the fact that they're being given this honor here at UIC of being a Chancellor Fellow.
The complication with AIM High is the fact that each institution in the state of Illinois, each public university could apply that award differently. So I do understand there is some confusion because what we're doing here at UIC is different than what UIUC is doing and what ISU is doing and what other public institutions are doing in the state of Illinois. But thanks for asking because there is some confusion because of that.
Good morning.
There's a hand right.
Good morning. I have a question for you. I briefly looked in your website, and I was looking at the Honors College, and I didn't fully grasp the difference between the Honors College and regular admission, and whether it has an impact on financial aid as well. You can go over just a little bit of what the Honor College
Sure. So,
entail.
all right. So let's separate the merit scholarship component of the Honors College for just a moment. Let's talk Honors College process before we step there. So when students apply to the institution, the common application is a dynamic application. In other words, when students answer questions, they don't know it, but the questions that will follow change based on the answers that they provided to the questions that happened before. So when a student applies, if they select that they're interested in the Honors College, students don't even realize it, but all of a sudden they are now compelled to provide additional essays. If they did not select Honors College, they wouldn't be asked to complete those essays. So they're not compelled to ask additional essays. They complete those essays, the application is then now deemed complete. It goes to the admissions office. We make a determination about whether or not a student is admissible to the institution within the Office of Admissions. That then goes over to the Honors College. The Honors College goes through their review for the student application, and then the student is admitted. For those of you who are involved in project management, if it feels like a step gate project or process, it's a step gate process. You go through step 1, done, and now you move through step 2, you're done. There's nothing that's happening in parallel. It's 1 then 2. Now, you can apply to the Honors College as an early action student. Everyone here applied early action or applied soon after November 1. Or students who apply in January, again, they haven't applied yet. Those students can also apply to the Honors College. And so the Honors College doesn't have an early deadline, although they start admitting some significant number of students early. So admissions is a separate thing, right? So that's how admissions works for the Honors College. Honors College at that point goes and reviews the students who they have, the students who they've admitted, and then they make determinations about who they will choose to award the scholarships that they have available to them at that point. So they will go ahead and they'll review the students who have been admitted to the institution, have been admitted to the Honors College, and then based on the pool and based on the scholarships that they have available and whatever metrics they have, whatever stipulations they have for the scholarships, they'll go ahead and do a review. They'll make those scholarship reviews and determinations and awards at that time. So you'll find that colleges, by the way, we can separate this. This is not just something that happens at the Honors College. Again, similar sorts of things with business scholars. They're admitted, they go, they look at business scholars, and they make determinations about who's being awarded there. The same thing will happen in the other colleges if they have awards as well. Students will be admitted, then they'll go back to look at who's been admitted. They'll determine who they will award their scholarships to based on the scholarship awards that they have and the criteria that they have for those awards in a given year. So again, it feels like a step-gate process here at UIC because it's a step-gate process here at UIC.
Question back here.
Good morning. Do you re-award students who family income has changed since you initially awarded them?
Short answer is yes, yes we do. So as those of you who filled out the free application for federal student aid understand that the information that we're asking for is 2 years old. A lot can happen to a family's income in 2 years, and we know that. So yes, we absolutely allow families to what we call appeal for a change of financial situation. There is a form if you go to our website, financialaid.uic.edu, and you go to the Forms tab, you will see on there is two change of financial situation forms, one for a parent and one for the student themselves, because we understand that a student's circumstances can also change, especially if your student has been working all through high school, but they don't plan to work while they're in college. Their financial situation could be changing as well. So we do allow both parent and student to appeal to make those changes. And what we will ask of you is that you project your income for while your student is in school. So as opposed to using information from 2018 to base your financial aid information, we will base your financial aid need information on the actual projected tax year of the current year in which we're in, which will be 2020. So we'll ask for your information from January 1st of 2020 through December 31st of 2020. So again, it's called a change of financial situation, and you can access the form on our website, financialaid.uic.edu, and you just click the Forms tab, and if it's your information that's changing as a parent, you just want to make sure you submit that form, And we also detail some of the supporting materials that we'll need from you. Typically, if there's been a change of employment status, we'll ask for a letter from your employer, some of the other documentation that we will request, but that's all listed on the form. And again, if you need assistance in filling out that form or you have questions, you can also set up an appointment with any one of our counselors on our website, and we're more than happy to sit down with you and work through a change of financial situation, because we want to make sure that we are accurately reflecting your family financial circumstances while your student is here at UIC.
Thank you.
So it's 11:15. I expect that the students will be returning sometime in the next 5 to 7 minutes. So just highlighting the time for everyone, and we've got time for a few more questions if we can be quick with our answers.
Okay. For the students that the parents apply for the FAFSA and did not get enough support due to whatever, would you have recommend like Discover, for example? Like I receive a letter from Discover offering support and say that does not need to pay until after the graduation. What's your recommendation on that?
Okay, so here's the thing. When it comes to parental support, when it comes to what we call filling the gap, right? If there's a gap, if the amount of financially that you receive isn't quite enough to cover what your student's going to need to come to college. From a parent perspective, I will put it this way. We cannot endorse any particular lender. However, when it comes to what we call an alternative lender, such as Discover, we encourage those as an absolute last resort. There is a program called the Parent Plus Loan. It is a federal program that also offers a similar deferment option to parents for the student while they're in school. There is a more aggressive interest rate and more aggressive fees in the sense that it's in the better interest of the parent for that loan. There's also, because it's a federal loan, there are other types of deferment options available and forbearance options available on the loan. So that's where we would encourage you to review the Parent Plus option before you would move to an alternative loan such as Discover or KeyBank or one of the other various alternative lenders out there. But as a recommendation, once you receive your award letter, again, give us a call, come on in, set up an appointment, and we'll walk that through with you. And we'll basically work with you to see what makes most sense for your family in terms of filling that gap. Be it a Parent Plus loan, that might not be an option that's available to you. If that option isn't great, then we can look at some of the other loans that are out there to see what makes sense for your family.
I have a question here.
So for the Chancellor's Fellow scholarship that you mentioned, or the AIM High, I saw information that it's renewable all 4 years, or it actually said, I believe, like guaranteed for 4 years, but then I'm learning today that there is a financial component. It's not 100% merit-based. So kind of piggybacking off the question over there, if your financial situation changes, like maybe I make more money 1 year, could my child lose that grant?
Well, here's kind of, you're right. And the thing is, we try to stay away from the word guarantee when it comes to the Chancellor Fellow, simply because there's also a merit component. Students have to maintain a 3.0 grade point average every year. Now, most of your students I know are going to hit that mark, right? They're all going to hit that mark. They're all going to be great academic students here, and they're going to hit that 3.0 grade point average. So we don't have to worry about that. So if the financial information changes, we will evaluate that on a case-by-case basis and work with you. Here's what we don't want to do. What we don't want to do is give you a $10,000 award 1 year, and now you have to figure out how to fund that the next year simply because your financial situation has changed. So we evaluate every circumstance like that. We will evaluate on a case-by-case basis, and we'll work with you to see what financing options we would have available. For the students right now, just to kind of fill you in on the students who meet the academic criteria through the admissions process, but they don't meet the financial criteria, we do have a subset program called the Provost Fellows. So students who meet the academic criteria for Chancellor Fellow, but they don't have that state-required finance issue, they will receive the Provost Fellow. So at minimum, that would be what you would be considered for if something changed year over year. But obviously, we would like to work with you to see if there is a possibility for a change of financial situation such that we can continue that process year over year for you.
And the Provost Fellows is a different amount?
Just to drive the point home, if it's not clear, that's baked into the legislation.
Yeah, that's
sure.
beyond our
I know
control,
it's not
sadly.
here. But it's a different amount, the Provost Fellows?
It is. The
So
Chancellor
smaller.
Fellow is $10,000. The Provost Fellow is $5,000.
Got it.
But again, we would work with you to see what we can do to fill that gap, or see what we can do with you from a finance perspective. Because again, lots can change in 2 years, right? See what we can do to see if we can reestablish eligibility based on a change of financial situation so you don't lose the additional funding of the Chancellor Fellow.
Thank you.
So,
Question.
One last question.
Okay, this question is regarding the relationship between the 529 prepaid program versus the merit scholarship. So if we already prepaid and we got merit scholarship, can we apply the scholarship to room and board or something else?
Absolutely. It depends on what, I'm going to say this, depends on what merit scholarship you have. If it's a Chancellor Fellows, you can. That money can actually go towards housing costs. If it's the Provost Fellows, unfortunately, it cannot. Here's what we recommend when it comes to families who have 529 plans or prepaid tuition plans. Wait until you receive your bill, okay? The bill comes out on July 1st. So on July 1, you're going to get your tuition assessment. It is also going to show what we call anticipated financial aid. So any of your scholarships, any of the grants, if you opt to take student loans, that's going to show on the bill. So it'll show you your balance. Once you see that balance, that's when you want to take out your money from the 529 plan, not before. Because we want to make sure that you're not, because here's the thing with 529 plans. They count in the student's financial aid award, right? They count as a resource. It's kind of weird, but that's kind of how they work, right? They don't count on the FAFSA, so they have to count in the student's financial aid award. So we don't want you taking out more than you need because that could jeopardize some of the types of grant aid that you're eligible to receive. So again, what we recommend for families with 529 plans, your assessment's going to come out on July 1st. Your anticipated aid will show on that assessment. At that time, that's when you want to make the withdrawal from the 529 plan to apply to the student's outstanding tuition and fees. Also, if you have questions about your merit-based awards, I can tell you for sure the Chancellor Fellow in particular is not tuition and fee specific. So that 529 plan they're using for tuition, the Chancellor Fellow will be eligible to go towards housing costs. But the Provost Fellow is not like that. That is a tuition and fee specific award. There are other types of programs, like the Monetary Award Program, which is through the state of Illinois. So it's a little complicated. So again, what we recommend, see what that bill is at the end, and that's when you want to take out the 529 plan. And if you have any questions about how much you need to take out once you get that bill, feel free to contact us and we'll walk you through what makes the most sense for your family.
All right, so as we've noticed, your students are starting to trickle their way back in. So with that, I'd like to thank both Joey and Keely for their time today with us and answering questions. They'll be here for a little while answering, floating around, so feel free to stop them, ask questions. They're happy to take them. We will give students 1 or 2 minutes to trickle back in when all the sessions are here. We'll wrap up with some comments. I'll give you an idea of what we're doing for the remainder of the day, and then we'll dismiss at that point. Thank you for your attention. Thank you for your questions. Okay, so I've been instructed that all the student groups have been released, and some are making their way to the restrooms, and some are already in the expo, and some have made their way to the seats. So we thought we'd go ahead and close since the rest of the day is fairly flexible. Again, thank you for spending time with us this morning. We do understand that this is actually a very early program in the cycle for families, right? Typically admitted student programs tend to become in January and February, and that's when you start to see a lot of pressure here. And what you'll note for us, if you're able to pull back a bit, is that what we wanted to be able to do, again, given who and what we are, is provide you with some information about how to go about making decisions that are best for you and your students and your families. There are things to consider. There are things that we think are valuable here at UIC. If those things align, we think we're a good fit. If those things don't align, then perhaps we're not the best fit. We want you to make good decisions that are good academic decisions, good social decisions, good financial decisions. And we hope that we were able to at least begin the process for you to start having these conversations as you move forth. I encourage you to do exactly this. Continue to pop around. Continue to have conversations with those that exist here. In the back there in those curtains where there was coffee and rolls this morning, what we have is what we're calling our expo. This is a good opportunity for you to connect with campus units on campus. You've got each of the colleges out there. Again, UIC Police should be back there as well. And a few other units who are there to answer some of those questions that perhaps are still lingering at this early stage. And we hope you're able to take advantage of that. We'll have campus tours of the residence halls and Student Center East, and shuttles that will in fact drop off here at the forum outside of the building. After the tours, there's going to be shuttles back and forth to parking lot 5, where you should have parked this morning, until 1:30. If you happen to stop by the Student Center, know that the bookstore will be open as well as the student cafe. So if you want to get a feel for what student food is like here at UIC, please take advantage of that as well. And again, shuttles till 1:30. We appreciate that you spent your morning with us, and I hope that you were able to get most of your questions answered, perhaps start the conversation with some of the others here, and that you'll enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you for considering UIC as a college-going option for all of you. We do, in fact, appreciate it. Thank you.